Hare Krishna. I want to once again thank you very warmly. Uh, I was happy. Actually, currently I'm from Montreal. Definitely, currently I'm visiting Michigan, a farm where our friend Siddhari Prabhu is. So he's that that's part of why he invited me. They have a beautiful project here, like a few acres land with a farm and 3 or 4 cows, and it's a blessing to be here. I was happy to travel through Louisiana just 2 months back, and I got the pleasure to meet Prabhuji. I'm of course I don't want to deform your name, Sarvatarak Prabhuji. Uh, we were there for a few days. We did, as Mataji was mentioning, we're blessed to be able to distribute books, and I did that for several months with one devotee here in America who's doing it all year around. Maybe you've probably know Prana Gauranga Dasa. So there's a connection there. Of course, we were staying in New Orleans rather than Baton Rouge, and we're very happy to see that there's Prabhu and his family there are operating some program, because and that's the theme of our discussion today, that we'll um, try to talk about the importance and the desire of the Lord to see his message given to other people. So anyway, I just want to acknowledge and congratulate you for keeping up this wonderful initiative. I also want to thank all the attendants today. Uh, Thank you for coming. We will try, with your blessings, to say a few words on the beautiful books that Srila Prabhupada has given us, and try to share what we have understood, and hopefully give a tiny bit of inspiration for all of us. So if you please repeat after me. Before, I would like to read one verse in particular from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and just a few days ago we passed the Gora Purnima festival, which basically for Vaishnavas is, with Janmashtami, is the most significant event. If you look in the Vaishnav calendar, Gaudiya Vaishnav calendar, it's actually the beginning of the year. Gorabda, it's called. So right now we are entering the 536th year of the era of Gora, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I thought it was appropriate that we speak on his lila, and I will share with you on the screen so you're able to follow. It's easier to read, to follow if you get a chance to read. Please let me one second. Okay, I'm going to share my screen right now. You can just confirm if you can see it, please. Can you give me a Hare Krishna, or?
Hare Krishna, we can see it.
Okay, super. So before we read, we'll just read two verses, and one of them is commented. This is the okay. So I'm understanding many people here are new, or coming for only a few times. So what we'll be discussing is a book, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, one of the many books Srila Prabhupada has compiled. I want to introduce it briefly, but it is basically a biographical work on the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who's considered at the present age to be, according to the various scriptures, as the incarnation or the avatar of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, descended on earth for the purpose of reclaiming fallen souls, for the purpose of distributing his eternal message of love and freedom. And this Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is one of the probably the most central a biographical work on his life, and it gives in great detail. It elaborates in great detail on the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and on his various dealings with various devotees. So right now we're reading the middle section. It's entitled Madhya Lila, and this is the 16th chapter. 16th chapter is entitled The Lord's Attempt to Go to Vrindavan. So I will spare you all the details of the story, but today what we will hear is how the Lord, for those who know, has appeared in the year 1486 of our calendar, Western calendar, in Bengal. Some of you, well, of course, your family, Prabhuji, is you are all from Bengal, I believe, or at least in I know in Louisiana Temple there are New Orleans Temple there are many Bengalis, such families. So Lord appeared by his causeless desire in land of Bengal. He lived as a householder, which means he was a married person, lived with his mother for 24 years. And as part of his pastime, for the last 24 years, the second half of his life, he's entered the sannyas order, or the renounced order of life. So many times you will see him showing his sannyas appearance, such as I don't know if you're able to see me there on the video, with a shaven head and loincloth, the appearance of a sannyasi. In those periods, the period of his sannyas, he spent most of his life in Puri Dham, Nilachal, Jagannath Puri Dham. And this, he would stay there, and a lot of his devotees came from Bengal. So every year during the rainy season, as you know, in India, the Chaturmasya is observed. That it is a time of the year which is dedicated to spiritual practices. In those 4 months of rainy season, the devotees from Bengal, they will travel and walk. Maybe for 1 week or 2 weeks, they would walk over to Jagannath Puri. Hundreds of devotees would go and live with the Lord for several months to get his association. And in every occasion, the Lord is extremely loving, welcoming, and displaying uncommon, beautiful pastimes with his devotees. So I hope I didn't lose anyone so far. But here what we're reading is the Lord is meeting on such occasion with his devotees, who all came from Bengal to Jagannath Puri Dham in Orissa. So before I read, I want to just, if you will kindly repeat, I will just make an invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So I will simply read, and please follow with me. Nityanande Kai Prabhu Sunaha Shripada Eyami Magitumi Karaha Prasada. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is translation, then told Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is his foremost associate. He's considered to be the big brother of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his main assistant in his pastime of Sankirtan pastime. He's actually considered, just as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is understood to be Krishna, Lord Nityananda is understood to be his brother, Sri Balaram, reincarnated. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told Nityananda Prabhu, please hear me, O holy man. I now request something of you, kindly grant my request. trying to go to the next one. So we'll be reading text 64 and the commentary by Srila Prabhupada. Prativarsha nilachale tumi na asiva gaudirahi mora iksha sapala kariba. Do not come to Jagannath Puri every year, but stay in Bengal and fulfill my desire. So I will read the purport for our benefit, and we'll try to share a few thoughts on this topic, which is very important, and open for commentaries after and questions. So purport by Srila Prabhupada. The mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to spread the only medicine effective in this fallen age of Kali, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Following the orders of his mother, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was residing at Jagannath Puri, and the devotees were coming to see him. However, the Lord felt that this message must be spread very elaborately in Bengal, and in his absence, there was not a second person capable of doing it. Consequently, the Lord requested Nityananda Prabhu to stay there and broadcast the message of Krishna consciousness. The Lord also entrusted a similar preaching responsibility to Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. Nityananda Prabhu was requested not to come every year to Jagannath Puri, although seeing Lord Jagannath greatly benefits everyone. Does this mean that the Lord was refusing Nityananda Prabhu a fortunate opportunity? No. One who is a faithful servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must execute his order, even if one has to sacrifice going to Jagannath Puri to see Lord Jagannath there. In other words, it is a greater fortune to carry out Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order than to satisfy one's senses by seeing Lord Jagannath. Preaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult throughout the world is more important than staying in Vrindavan or Jagannath Puri for one's own personal satisfaction. Spreading Krishna consciousness is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Therefore, his sincere devotees must carry out his desire. Prithivite achejyata nagaradigram sarvatra prachara haive maranam. The devotees of Lord Chaitanya must preach Krishna consciousness in every village and town of the world, in the world. That will satisfy the Lord. It is not that one should act whimsically for his own personal satisfaction. This order comes down through the parampara system, and the spiritual master presents these orders to the disciple so that he can spread the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is the duty of every disciple to carry out the order of the bona fide spiritual master and spread Lord Chaitanya's message all over the world. So before I try to say something, we want to say an invocation to invite the blessings of our spiritual master and other previous teachers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manabhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutare Svayam Rupa Kedamayam Darati Svapadantikam. Namo Mahabhajanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradvishi Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Pashatade Shatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I thought this was a very significant verse for all of us, those of us who are aspirant to spiritual life. I think all of us, if we are here today, it means that in some way we consider spirituality something important in our life, something that is worth giving priority. So there are many uh, teachers out there. There are many different kinds of books out there. There are many kinds of YouTube videos out there. There are many kinds of things for one who's taking interest in spiritual life. But what do you say? The spiritual message that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has delivered is the sublime and final conclusion of the original uh, spirituality, which has roots in the Vedas, as you know. Everybody knows the Vedas here? Please raise your hand on your Zoom if you don't. But oh, here's Mr. Sarkar. You would like to know? I don't hear him. Oh, he wants.
Yes, sure.
You know?
No, I don't know. If
Okay. Vedas. So we want to start from the beginning. I think that would be easier. But if we go back in a few millenniums, 2,000, 3,000, or even 5,000 years, this planet was different, was a little bit populated differently. At that time, the most powerful and developed society was found in Bharat, or India, currently called India. Now in India, still today, we have information of some very timeless scriptures, right? All of you have heard of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is taken from the Mahabharata. Mahabharata is compiled 5,000 years back on palm leaves, not on paper. There was no printing press, but Srila Vyasadeva, very powerful sage and also an incarnation, who's known to be living in Badarikashram in the Himalayan region, is understood to have compiled these books, the Mahabharata, Puranas, and other books. These are all taken together to be known as the Vedas. 4 Vedas are there, Upanishads are there, 18 Puranas, the Mahabharata, and in the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita. So these are understood as the prime and most essential and important and authentic and original source of knowledge about anything. Veda means what? Literally, Veda means knowledge. So whatever is gathered from the Veda or the Vedas is taken as it is. We accept it on the basis that it is presented in the Veda, without having no need to experiment, either with our instruments, with our own senses, or with our own fallible logic. This is the meaning of Veda, and this is a different process than what we consider the modern process of getting knowledge. Why? Because the knowledge given in Veda is transmitted through the hand of Vyasadeva to humanity. And Vyasadeva is known to have received this knowledge from his previous teacher, who is Narada Muni. And Narada Muni has received from Lord Brahmaji. So the knowledge, and Brahmaji has received this knowledge in his heart from the Supreme Person, Krishna. through his own meditation. So again, I hope I'm not losing anyone here, but to come to the point, that the Vedas are presented in Sanskrit language by Vyasadeva for the benefit of humanity. And these Vedas are known to be still present today, and especially in the land of India. But they're meant for the benefit of everyone, and that is why Vyasadeva has compiled them, and they direct the human being to achieve his full potential, which is spiritual potential. We as human beings, we have more, we have more opportunity than other forms of life. You'll agree. We have a capacity to rationalize, to analyze, to see things under different angles, and to assert goals in our life. Whereas the animals cannot do that. Although we share, most of our life is similar to those of animal, because a lot of our day is spent eating, taking rest, reproducing, children, or defending ourselves. So these four things we have in common with animal species. When it comes to human life, if someone in the human life wants to take advantage of this human life, he should approach someone who is knowledgeable in the Veda, because the Veda explains broadly that this life is simply one out of many, many millions for us. That now, having come again in the material world, in a different body, different identity, we should use this opportunity to end what is called samsara, the cycle of suffering. I don't think, if anyone disagrees, they may also raise their hand, but each one of us, we are faced with suffering. And we can try to adjust, but there's no remedy in the material world for all the suffering. Even if we avoid most of the suffering and we have such a good destiny, still, for every one of us, we are faced with old age, disease, death, birth. So these are four principles that should, as rational human being, should awaken our questioning. Why am I faced with this trouble? And do I want to live with these troubles permanently, or do I want to make a solution? So the moment that question arises in our heart, in our life, like genuinely, sincerely, then really our spiritual life begins from that moment. In the Veda, they determine it, which is used atato brahma jigyasa, which means now that we are conscious, intelligent, civilized human beings, we should inquire about what? Should we inquire about the politics, global politics? Should we inquire about the price of commodities, gold, or fuel, or bitcoins, or IT? We can inquire about these things also, or inflation. We can, but what the Veda or the Vedanta says, Brahma Jigyasa, the best use of our intelligence as a human is to inquire about what? Brahma. Brahma means broadly spirit or consciousness. So each one of us, we are a consciousness, but we inhabit a body which is not conscious, which is a material machine. Animals cannot ascertain that difference. They cannot say, "Oh, I'm a spirit in a dog's body." No, they really, invest their body, and all their identity is comprised in that body. I am a dog. I am a cat. Human have another potential. They can, by good intelligence and good advice, and if they come to the right source, they can hear the real message coming down the appropriate line of teachers and the appropriate scriptures. They can hear about their own self, which is a spirit, Brahma. We should inquire about Brahma, what I am, who I am, why these sufferings are in my life. I never called for them, and I want to make a solution. So the moment this inquiry arises in our heart, our spiritual life may begin. And what is indicated, I'm trying to come back here. I know we have quite limited time, and I'm not quite touching yet on our verse today. I'm really sorry for that. What is the message delivered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for each one of us? Is the message of genuine, what do you say, intemporal or eternal message of spirituality. If we are fortunate, we will recognize it, we will come in contact with it. And if we are more fortunate, we will take interest, because this is our own self-interest. Nate vidusvarta gatim ivishnum. We are speaking here from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, which underlines that the real benefit in life is to understand who we are and who is the source of our life, Vishnu. Because the ultimate success for each one of us is if at the end of this particular life which we have, this could become the last life, where you don't have, for various circumstantial reasons, and the accumulation of our own action or karma, have to come back in another time in this body or that body again, as a Christian, as a Muslim, as a Hindu, as a white, as a brown, as a black, or as a Chinese, or as a woman, or as a man, and live in that condition, faced with the material miseries. Rather, Krishna indicates in all the scriptures, it is indicated like this, and in particular in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha taktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti. So Arjuna, I know our friend Mataji's here have made their studies. It seems like they know these verses, but in other words, Krishna indicates that there's a way that by once giving up this body, which means at the time of dying, the soul may not come back again in the material world. How is that? Janma karma chame divyam. By studying, understanding, and having embraced and understood in our life and by our own practice the life, the pastime, the appearance of Lord Krishna, which are all in essence and completely and entirely spiritual, or divyam, transcendental. Mataji was using this word earlier. Everything in relationship to Krishna is utterly and entirely spiritual. His name, we were chanting earlier, his form, his pastime, which we are reading today now, how the Lord resided in Jagannath Puri, etc. These are spiritual in essence. Someone who has understood them in truth having learned them from the right source, has transformed his life in such a way that he will not continue his life of conditioned life, or eternal, you could say, perpetual suffering, which we call samsara, repeated birth and death in the material body. So this is a message we should welcome in our life if we want to be fortunate, if we want to be supremely happy. We should welcome this message, and we are very what do you say, quite amazingly fortunate that we have a chance, and all of you here present, I know, have had a chance to come in contact with such a line of teaching, which is given to us by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, our eternal master, and the one person who, out of his utter dedication and surrender to the desire of his beloved Lord, and his spiritual master, has given every ounce of his life for delivering this message to us in a way that is pure and that is uncompromised. That you will find in that message. You will find it in all of his books, and maybe some of you have these books already. Otherwise, of course, I was showing you this earlier. The Bhaktivedanta database, you can access it really easily on vedabase.com or vedabase.io, and there you can access all these books for free. There are many books, and one who takes help from these books, reading them every day, will see his life become fortunate. That is guaranteed. Along with the chanting of the Mahamantra, hearing these narration, these writings by His Divine Grace, by Srila Prabhupada, constitute like the core or the foundation of a very powerful lifetime spiritual practice that gives fruits and that will change us and transform our heart. I guess this is what I wanted to say. I still didn't touch on the verse we spoke today, and I apologize for that. But if I can say one thing, that what Mahaprabhu desires, or what Krishna desires, is that each one of us, and all of you, most of you, maybe except Mr. Eli Rico, am I correct? Mr. Rico Eli, but certainly all of you have been, are either born in India or grown up in an Indian family, and I'd be happy if Mr. Eli has a comment, but you can type also. Yes, the privilege of having a Indian background cannot be underestimated. In another place, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu indicated, Bharata Bhumite Manusya Janma Aila, and then there's another line which I'm unable to remember. But in other words, he says, whoever was born as a human being, especially in Bharat or in India, has a duty to make his life successful by becoming Krishna conscious. And he should, having become perfect himself, he should make his duty to teach others. And by their great fortune, those people who are born in such family, we can see, naturally spiritually inclined. The day you show me that we have 20 people from America coming for a satsang, of course this also happens, but you can see in their heart, people who are born is like this as not a mistake, is by the hand of Krishna. And basically, the desire of Mahaprabhu is that we not only embrace this message, apply it, and see the result, but along with that, we become concerned that other people who are unaware of this can benefit in the same way we benefited by receiving this knowledge, by receiving this holy name, and by transforming their life. We don't have to become a revolutionary. One devotee here in Michigan recently, he told, and I really appreciated that point. He said, you don't have to save the whole world, but at least take one person with you. If you're going to go back to Krishna, make sure you take one person with you. Then you have something to show Krishna, and then that is enough. That is asked from us. That is from our part. Hare Krishna. So at this point, I really want to thank all of you for your kind attention, and I will be glad to try to discuss anything if you have commentary or comments or questions regarding any of this. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Prabhuji for such a wonderful class and discussing or allowing us to hear from the highest book of perfection, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it was really nice to hear some of the pastimes that you mentioned, and for giving such a relatable class. And it was very easy to understand. Thank you so much for that. Class, and now we're opening it up to everyone for questions. So please unmute and ask your questions or comments.
Or you can also put it in the chat.
Maybe Mr. Sarkar wants to help us if we're able to help him. Is it that it makes sense? Oh, we cannot hear you, Prabhu. 1 second.
Unmute.
Our human experience is very limited. As you have mentioned about transcendental experience, because in Bengali we call it Otindriyo Bhat, means which is beyond the senses. So if we want to experience that, how can I do that? Because it's already beyond our senses. And we don't know what's happening or what will be happening. Because if we can perceive that, then it's not Otindriyo, it's not beyond the senses. It is within our senses. And how can we experience this kind of experience or knowledge about that? Because our senses does not allow to understand that part as per the definition.
Yes. Are you asking me?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. This is correct. And this has been cited by the foremost disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Rupa Goswami. He says, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Nabavet Grayam Indriyai Sevam Muke Ijivado Swayam Eva Spuratyadaha. So, in other words, and to simplify, that as you mentioned, Prabhu, the ultimate reality, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, dwelling everywhere and the source of everything, and the spiritual realm, these are not, we cannot access with the senses we have. We cannot see with our eyes. We cannot perceive it. But for sure, if Krishna himself wants us to see, he can allow us to see, because that is within his power. In other words, it is done by revelation. And Sri Rupa Goswami says, although we cannot see the name or the reality, that we cannot perceive Krishna or things related to him, Sevan Muke Jivado. If we engage in seva to him, then the Jivado, starting by chanting with the tongue, Jiva, right? If we start his service Svayameva Spuratyada. Then eventually this everything can be understood from within our heart by his grace. So it's a descending process by which we make ourselves ready to receive this knowledge, this realization in our heart by the proper attitude of service. And then, so this is in one word, it's called, defined as bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga, the yoga of connecting and service to the Supreme. So these things might not be perceivable, but eventually this may be perceived, and not because I have not seen, nobody has seen, right? So those who have seen, they are able to teach about this. So this is the qualification of the spiritual master. He's known as Tattvadarshini. He has seen the truth. So is it okay?
Yes, okay.
So the point is, we cannot see it, but if we are engaged in service, Krishna can show anyone. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for
Thank
this
you, Prabhu.
answer.
I have a question.
Yes, Mataji,
Prabhuji,
please.
you want to see me?
Sure.
Oh.
Not sure. Yeah, here you go. I sent you a request. Okay.
No,
Oh.
I'm curious, that I see Western devotees of Krishna consciousness have more bhakti in them, devotion to Krishna consciousness, uh, and spiritual, practices than us. We are born, raised in India, but still we don't have as much, devotion like bhakti, the way Western American or Westerners have, like you have such a great devotion. How did you develop? I just I want to know. By reading scriptures or by practicing or what? How?
Okay. Well, Mataji, thank you. I want to just say first of all that I can honestly say I don't feel I have any such thing in my life as devotion. And I think I'm very far away from having any devotion. But we see that in okay, at times, of course, those who are born in that uh, environment or that culture, Indian, we say there's a saying. There's a saying that is common. It says familiarity breeds contempt, or when you're familiar with something, you don't give it so much attention anymore. You don't give it the same consideration. So I think for a lot of people from India, Krishna or Krishna consciousness is something they have done already, or that they have finished with that. Now they are civilized, or they are developed. Now they can make a 6-digit income, right? So now that they have gone beyond, so whereas from a background like ours, which is very basically very degraded background, if I think that's the only way I can say it. Krishna consciousness shines like a ray of sun in a very dark place. So we have a different perspective on it, obviously. And it's for a lot of us, it has in our life, it came as the only solution, or the last shelter. Like the only thing that could save us was this teaching, and that this practice. So it came in our life differently. So we have and again, it's not everyone. You may say devotees from the West are, maybe some are a little devoted, but again, this is a few, compared to, I mean, compared to the number of people here, there are very few devotees. So I heard one devotee once say that, and it's from Mumbai. He was visiting us in Montreal. He said that they gave an analogy. He said like the Western person is very far from Krishna, but he's looking towards Krishna. And he said an Indian person is very close to Krishna, but he's looking the other way. So I think uh, that was kind of summarizing that for me. It made it very clear. And as far as maybe the other part of your question, you said how to achieve this, and the solution is the bhakti. It travels from one person to another person. So it is not something to gain anywhere, but in the association of sadhu. There's no other secret. So it's not something you can. Of course, we cultivate it. That's our duty. But we need the mercy of those who are pure devotees, and there's no other access for us. And but if they're pleased with us a little bit, and we are a little sincere, they can invest our heart with so much blessing. And that's where bhakti takes place. It's like a seed. Guru Krishna prasade by bhakti latavij. Krishna and Guru, they come together to bless the fortunate soul, and they give him the seed of bhakti. So to get this, we should try to please the sadhu, and yeah, and follow the indication they give us. I think that's what I can say to you. Is that okay? Wait, we cannot hear now. You have to accept my request.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Yeah.
I want to. Oh, my question was so with the in the Western world there are so many distractions. Being so materialistic kind of lifestyle. Like in India, it's easier, to be practicing spiritual because everywhere, around you all the time. So you're in contact. But here in Western world, there are so many other distractions and necessities of life, to fulfill all that takes all the time, and for spiritual practices, very little time left. So that's why I'm wondering how American people, you have given up everything else in life or chosen this lifestyle. So how can we people, like ordinary people, we are not really sincere like you all doing devotees, how we can, devote more, become to Krishna, by what? By doing seva or service or what?
Thank you, Mataji. And I think that's what we try to convey a little bit today. First of all, you're very fortunate in the first place that you're in touch here with this wonderful family here, who so far I can understand are very devoted themselves, and they take time out so they can be with all of you and give their association. And this is the first step. This is called sadhu sangha. And if you can meet in person, that's my opinion, it's also better. Uh, then you can take prasad, you can do kirtan together. But sadhu
Yeah, then
sangha is
increase more, with the association. I feel that way.
yeah, sadhu sangha. And the other two things that will help you undoubtedly, and we try to this say a little bit today. If you take to this chanting in your life, everyone can do this. Doesn't matter your job, what you're doing, how busy you are. You take time away apart, and you can chant. You can chant when you're cooking. You can chant anytime. You can chant in the shower, but you can take time off in the morning where you chant also, like where you don't do nothing before you do everything else. Before you cook, before you call, you close your cell phone, you know, you close your laptop, and before just take a bath. And the first thing we should do this, because it's the only time the mind will be a little peaceful in our life. Then we take this time, if it preferably, early in the morning, and we can chant. And however much you're able to chant, but you can start with one round. That will take you 10 minutes. And you will feel it, instantly. So this is one thing or two things. Sadhu Sangha is essential. The sadhus, they will teach you should chant. So we should take it up. We should try. We should be honest and make the experiment of the holy name, chanting. Why is it so important? Everybody said. And then the third thing, each one of us were always reading something, or nowadays watching a video. So we have a propensity to read. We have a propensity to hear something about something. So we should use that. We should read the books that are given to us by Srila Prabhupada, because these are fully authentic books, and they reveal to us how to avoid difficulties, how to overcome difficulty in spiritual life, how to see things in the right perspective, and how to persevere, how to be strong. It reveals to us the greatness of Krishna. It gives us inspiration. You can read, if you can, an hour a day. If you cannot, half an hour or whatever you can. But you take time apart, and in a devoted and focused spirit, you can take time to read. I think, and that applies to everyone here and myself. These three things: the association of devotees, the chanting, and the reading. If we persist with these, the spiritual progress is guaranteed. Is guaranteed.
I know we know about Gita, but we don't know about Chaitanya Charitamrita. What's written in that? Is it about his teachings or what?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. You can read Bhagavad Gita. This is a great thing to do. And
well, what are
later on you can.
Teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What are his teachings? Same like Gita?
Now if I go into this, we'll have to have another class at this point.
It's different.
But,
okay. It's more about bhakti more, right? More bhakti.
Yeah, in other words, Mahaprabhu is Krishna, and there is no difference with his teaching, but he's showing himself by example how to be a devotee. So I guess that's what I can say.
How to be a devotee?
Yeah, he's showing by his own action, whereas Krishna is simply teaching.
Okay.
Okay.
To read more. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Mataji, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I think we've gone over time.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right, Prabhu. Thank you so much to all the audience members who asked so many thoughtful questions, and thank you so much to Prabhuji for answering them so elaborately with so many practical examples. And before we move on to the next part of the program, we just want to appreciate Prabhuji and request him so we can get more of his associations. So we're really begging you to come back again to Baton Rouge so we can get your association in person. And then, of course, there's also always a Zoom program. So we really need your association so the seed of bhakti can actually grow in our hearts. So thank you so much, Prabhuji.